My Voice is a chance for those who have struggled with addiction, homelessness, depression, and domestic violence to have a candid conversation about their life experience, current situation, and future goals and aspirations. Every episode is conducted anonymously to facilitate a comfortable and safe place for guests to tell their story. My Voice is hosted by Mike Sisson, who works as a case manager at the My House facilities in Wasilla, Alaska. We now join a My Voice conversation, already in progress.
If you had to pick one food to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's a good question. Probably like chicken and rice, or just one thing, or like
It could be a meal. Yeah, it could be a meal like chicken, rice, broccoli, or it could be like steak, only steak.
No, I don't think I can eat steak. My teeth are gone. Probably like that sesame chicken with rice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good choice. Sesame chicken from a particular spot or just any?
Any sesame chicken.
Nice.
I'm not picky.
Right on. Were you born in Alaska or did you move here at some point?
No, I was born in Wasilla, Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah.
At which hospital?
The Palmer one.
The Palmer. Okay, yeah. And you just grew up in Palmer and Wasilla then, huh?
Yeah, pretty much Wasilla, and then Anchorage, you know. Yeah, I guess when I was born, my mom was having me. She went into labor, and as soon as I got to the hospital, like I was born in 10 minutes. It's like swing, bada, swing.
You were ready.
I was out, dude.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got like 5 or 6. I got 6 siblings.
Are you oldest or middle or young?
I'm the oldest boy now because my big brother died.
Okay.
But yeah, third to oldest. So
Okay.
I'm right in the middle.
Sorry to hear about your older brother, by the way. There's a lot I don't know about you that I'm excited to learn today. I'm stoked to get to hear your story. When you were born and you were growing up, tell us about what your childhood was like. Did you have like, did you grow up in the suburbs, white picket fence? Did you live in a nice house? Tell us about it, man. How was your upbringing?
Well, I grew up right there on Vine. Mine was pretty calm. I went to gymnastics for about 12 years. And so I just got up, went to school, and then right after school, my mom would have the plate of food on the way to the gymnastics. I'd eat food, go to gymnastics for about 4.5 hours, and then bam, I was like ready to go to bed when I got home.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time.
For 12 years. Wow, that's crazy, man. So you did gymnastics basically through your childhood into your teenage years, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about your siblings? Like, did you guys, everybody get along? Did you guys have a lot of like sibling rivalry between each other? How was that?
Yeah, we all got along. When we were kids, yeah, we got along. It wasn't until we got older until we started like actually like physically fighting.
Okay.
You know, but things were really, really good growing up. I followed my big brother around. He's about 5.5 years older than me. I wanted to be everywhere he wanted to be and stuff like that. So
Nice. And you said he passed away. If you don't mind me asking, how long ago?
now it's about 8 years now.
Okay.
He was 27 when he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that, man. Me and my brother are super close. That had to be hard on your family. Just everybody, I bet.
Yeah, he was kind of the rock in the family.
Yeah.
It was tough. It's tough.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that again. While you were growing up and you were going to gymnastics, once you got to the point where gymnastics was done, like you kind of moved on, like let's talk about high school years. How was your high school?
Well, I did cheerleading for about 2 years before high school.
Oh, nice.
So I did gymnastics 12 and then cheerleading for 2.
So you were in shape then, dude.
Yeah, I did.
Gymnastics and cheerleading. Cheerleading's no joke. People like to bag on it all the time.
Nah.
Dude, cheerleading is hard.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved going to school, I'm a cheerleader. say something.
Say something.
Say something, dude. 'Cause I'm built, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you are.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was good, though. I mean, we went all the way to Seattle. We took first. And
That's incredible.
yeah, I met this girl there. I was the first day of cheerleading practice. This dude was like, I was in our middle school with him, and I asked him first. I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm watching my girlfriend." Points her out. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm here to be on that cheerleading team." He's like, "Oh," and then me and that girl were together like a couple weeks after that. So like, took his girl, and yeah, it was cool.
Dang. Smooth operator, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, dude. That's cool. You guys went to Seattle and won first? Who did you cheer for? Which school?
It was Arctic. It was not a school.
So that's cool, though. Arctic Gymnastics, Seattle, first place. That had to be so much fun. They paid for you to fly everything. You went with the team?
Yeah.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
It was way cool. And I got to hang out with, and it was just me on the team. It was all girls, so I was the
Yeah.
only guy there. So I got to watch scary movies with a whole bunch of girls at a hotel. It was,
Yeah.
it was sweet, dude.
Yeah, dude. See, everybody bags on it, but it's actually dope. Way to go, bro.
All
Good
the
for
dads
you.
liked me. My mom went there she went there to watch me practice, and they're all like, "Oh, my girl's the best. My girl's the best." And then they're like, "Well, whose girl is yours?" To my mom, and she's like, "I'm the boys." And then they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, he's the best one on the team. He does all the flips and everything."
Yeah.
So they knew that I was like way better, and they were just like, "Oh, wow." They had this mad respect to my mom because
That's way
I
cool.
was like super good at what I was doing.
Way to go, man. So you were definitely passionate about it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what a good thing to be passionate about, too. I wish I would have stuck to that. I started getting into like drugs and stuff a little early on, and so it messed my grades up, and then my passion for football and weightlifting and sports just kind of went out the window. But I wasn't bold enough in high school to do anything because I got bullied so much. I tried to stay under the radar. But real talk, like if I could go back, I definitely would have done something like cheerleading or like dance or something because I really like that. In gymnastics, the amount of like physical ability you have to do that is insane. Like it is more than just being able to shove somebody around on a line on a field. You gotta the strength, the ability that you have to have is crazy. Let alone throwing people around, catching them, doing all the stuff you were doing, bro. That's cool. So then high school, you really were just like doing your thing in high school, staying out of trouble. It sounds like.
Well, no, not really, because I kind of messed my story up a little bit. Because when high school came, that's when I did Wasilla High. I tried to cheer for them, and I was in Burchell.
Okay.
I did that, and that lasted like 2 weeks, and then that was the end of my cheerleading and stuff like that. So I was back in Wasilla.
Okay.
And I moved because I did that, and I did the cheerleading in Arctic in middle school.
Oh,
and
up until
up
Wasilla.
Yeah, and then I tried Wasilla High to cheerleader for them, and it didn't work out, and then. My big brother introduced me to weed at like 9, and like so, like by the time I was 12, 13, I was like smoking weed, selling weed, but I was still on track. I still did like cheerleading. I had to go to cheerleading every night. Stepdad drove me there, and afterwards I drank with him and stuff like that. But that's where I started going off track. But when I got to high school in Wasilla, moved out here with my big brother to live in the house that I grew up in. Because he was taking it over, and so I had like no guardianship there, right? And then so I started high school at Burchell, and second week, first day, I got suspended or almost kicked out because I was smoking weed in front of the school. Like there was this big gravel hill, and like I was smoking weed in front of it and got caught. The principal walked up and caught me and my friend.
Oh man!
So they suspended me for 10 days, made me go to a alcohol class and stuff like that. But I didn't get kicked out, which was cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you were there then when Peter Burchell was there.
No, my big brother was.
Okay.
I was there right after that. It was
Right after.
It was Dave Holmquist.
Okay, cool.
But I did meet Peter Burchell though.
Okay, cool.
On a treat or something at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a solid dude.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Okay, so you got caught. You went to drug and alcohol. You didn't kicked out. What was the rest of high school like for you? Were you like a good student? Did your life kind of start to get out of control there? What happened next?
Well, it was all good. My life wasn't unmanageable at that point. my big brother brought home like a pound or two a week, and I sold all the weed for him. I sold all the weed for everybody that I could find because I was always running out of weed. So I was always selling weed, and I thought I was going to sell weed for the rest of my life. So that's when I was big in selling weed and just going to high school. And I was making it to high school. About 10th grade, I had a best friend that was a really good con artist and was all like, "Hey, we should we should buy this cocaine, Zane, and we'll sell it." And it was all about making money, right? Buy an ounce and we'll sell it and blah, blah, blah. And so we did that. And I stopped going to high school for like a month at a time and stuff like that. And like I was just getting into Molly and selling. It was always about selling, right? So I'd sell my last 20 sack of anything I had to get another $20. So I wasn't really addicted. I was addicted to the money,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was all about making money at that point. And it lasted for a long time. And I remember when I met Michelle, she came into the school and she had a little corner office, and she would come in and talk about drugs. And she would come and talk about the statistics and, like, if you do this much, you're going to OD and you're going to die. And me and my couple buddies raised our hands and we're like, hey, if that's the statistic, we're dead. We've done like 10 times as much as that. We've been going hard, So yeah, it was wild. And and I had a buddy that got in a really bad accident during high school.
Uh-huh.
He got flown through a car window, and
Wow.
And we all wrote him letters and stuff. He was on life support. There was like 4 people in the vehicle and like 5 or something maybe, and almost all of them were on life support. One died, and that one girl died, and then the other people were on life support. And you think that would not, they were told if you do drugs after this, your lifespan's gonna be really short. And they got a settlement of like $250,000, and and then I remember going to my buddy's house that he bought. He bought a house, but he was also like buying like pounds of cocaine and stuff like that to sell it and use it and stuff like that. And I remember going over there, and I was there for like 3 weeks at a time or something. And I was like, buddy, I got to go home, dude. I got to go home. He's like, what do you need, man? We'll go to Walmart and buy you a new shirt, we'll buy you a TV. What do you want, man? We'll just buy it. I'm like, no, man, I got to go. And he's like, you're going to leave me right in the middle of a binge?
Dang.
I was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to leave you right in the middle of a binge. I got to go home, dude.
Wow.
But, it's all been about, like, massive amounts of drugs and selling it and stuff. And then, so that's what high school was. And I'm really glad that I had some people in my corner. I had a teacher that she was so amazing, dude. Like, I remember I was getting ready to graduate kind of a year before that or something, or the 11th grade or something like that. And I remember staying after school with her, and she typed all my papers, and I wrote them all, and she typed them all, and then I had to go out and correct them and stuff. And she really helped me graduate. Like, wow. I remember staying after school, and she donated her time to help me graduate. And
wow, man,
amazing, dude, amazing school.
That's incredible. I had a couple teachers like that for me at Pathways is where I went, and I'll never forget some of the things teachers there helped me do. Jeff Carvalho was one of them, and if you ever hear this, Jeff, thanks for being so awesome. Misty, Francesca, all those people were huge in helping me graduate, as I was behind by the time I went to Valley Pathways, so I feel that for sure. There's just something like, it's so cool when you meet people that care, in your life. You can tell when you're somewhere and somebody's just collecting a paycheck and it's just what they do. Yeah. But then there's people you meet and it's who they are. It's not just what they do. So that's super cool, man. I'm super, super glad you had somebody there for you.
Yeah. It wasn't just like the one teacher. It was like, I don't know. I remember like math class. I'd walk into math class and George or whatever would be like, me and my buddy, we'd freak like weed. And he'd be like, hey, Zane, you guys can't come in here unless you have enough to share with the whole class. So they made jokes like that. They were just really cool, cool about it. And like, Yeah, I don't know. Shout out to Cheryl Lloyd, man. She's the one that really donated all of her time, and just there was so much staff like Leanne and Diane that like let you take a shower at school.
Wow.
You know, like and then when they had those big giveaway things, like at school, they had on the weekends they would have all these free clothes and brand new jackets and stuff like that. A lot of times, and they have free soda. And I remember I would go there, and sometimes I went there early and helped them set up, and because I like donating my time back to those people. And all those people were so great, and not even kids can go there; their parents could go there too, and get free clothes and stuff. And Michelle put that on, and Leanne and Diane, a lot of the staff put that on, and it was so cool, man. It was. I remember I've gotten so many clothes, and I used to take my clothes and donate them because I wouldn't have a washer and dryer. So I'd donate all the clothes that I got, right, and then go pick up new ones. And then sometimes I get the same clothes back because they would go wash them and then put them back up on the giveaway thing. So I was just kind of rotating around with like clothes like that, and it's kind of rough. But I didn't have any govern at my house, you know, so like. And they knew that, so I signed my own papers for field trips or whatever, and they were cool, man. Like they're about helping, you know. And they didn't judge, and they're like, if you're living out of a tent, you know, come get a shower in the morning or whatever this is. And it was just amazing high school, man, amazing.
Man, that's so cool. What's super cool is that I haven't got to hear your story, and just hearing you talk about these things that people did so long ago, and the ideas they had and the help they gave, hearing somebody utilize it, and the fact that you utilized it not because you took advantage of it, but because you had to, and you did it the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's super powerful for people to hear and understand. And even me, like I work in this field, I know people need this support, and I see people use it for what it is and for a good reason. And I even still need to be reminded, you know, that people are out there genuinely needing this help, and they're not trying to take advantage of any system. So that's powerful, that's part of your story, that you were using these things not to take advantage of anything, but because you needed it, you know, and it was there. Thankfully, it was there. You know, there was a lot of people who didn't have stuff like that. So that's super cool. So then you graduated from Burchell, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? Like, how did your life go from that point?
Well, at that point, when I graduated, I did a backflip on stage. It was really, really tight, dude.
Yeah, you did. Gymnast? That's what's up.
Yeah, 2012. I was like, Cheryl's amazing, and this is what I think of Burchell High School, and did a backflip. And at that point, though, so I dated a girl the whole time I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And we dated about 7 years total, almost 6, 7 years.
Is that the one from cheerleading from
no,
Arctic? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I met her at Burchell.
Okay.
And she's a hometown girl here or whatever, and just amazing. But at that point, when I graduated, I went to festivals, right, and found this dude, and he was like, "Hey man, I got this best ass in the state." So I started selling acid for him and Molly and all that stuff, and making all this money, and then we broke up after like 3 years solid, 3.5 years solid or something like that. We broke up, and I remember her sister telling my best friend, because my best friend dated her sister, and she's like, "Hey, don't leave Zane alone. He's got like thousands of dollars of drugs in his back of his trunk or whatever, and he's not in a good space right now, you know." And I was really, really broken up, and I was a kid, and I was in love, and I was upset, and it was rough, dude. It was super rough. But I got over that, I think, and then it became meth popped in the picture, and I think nothing ever held me down until like meth and heroin, right? Mm-hmm. So like I was never really tied down to anything. Nothing ever really got me, and like I said, I'd sell my last 20 of anything to get money. And when meth came in the picture, same best friend, good con artist, was like, "Hey man, buy an ounce of meth. Well, if you make all this money, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it," right? And then I started keeping stuff instead of selling the last of my stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got so high one night I had to come down, and he's like, well, do a little bit of this, a little heroin, you'll come down. So, okay. So, and then I started selling that, and I was really selling more meth to do my heroin. So I was just selling meth to smoke a bunch of heroin.
Yep.
And it was, that's when it all became like, that's when I didn't know what addiction was back then, but I'm guessing that's when it started to happen for me. That's when it really started to go downhill. Was about right after about 17, 18. That's when I got into it.
Wow.
And, and like I've been doing drugs my whole life and selling them and all that stuff, but nothing, not meth or heroin. I remember denying people. They tried to trade me heroin for weed, and I was like, no, man, I don't do that, right? But when it got to that, it all started like happening. And for the first year or two, I didn't even know what dope sick was. I never ran out. So I didn't know what people were crying about being dope sick for. And then when I finally ran out, I remember laying on my brother's couch, puking out my whole intestines or whatever, with the hole in stomach lining and stuff like that. And I didn't want to be alone in my addiction. So I was like, hey, I got this great idea to show it to my little brothers and be like, okay, so this is what this is what this is about. So if you do this with me, you'll know what it's about. So if anybody asks you to do it later, you won't have to do it later with them because you know what it's about, right?
Right.
And I had like two little dummies to try it on, right?
Yep.
Two little brothers.
Yep.
It was rough, dude, because one went one direction and he's totally fine now and got a good job and holding it down for a long time, doesn't do drugs. And one is in rehab right now in Idaho because of me, not really because of me, but like I introduced it to him. So that's been heavy on my heart.
Yeah, man.
But later on in the story, I'll tell you how I overcame that.
Yeah. I feel that too, man. I got my little brother into partying, and I tried to keep him out of it. And then I was like, I got kind of selfish. I was like, no, me and my brother, like, I like hanging out with him. And I know he would have gotten into it in his own time. I've finally been able to accept that it wasn't my fault. But, man, for a long time, it felt like my fault. And it used to break me regularly, especially when I got out and I was doing good and my brother wasn't, That was super hard for me. So I feel that big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And at that point, I was starting to lose everything, or not really lose it, give it away happily. I was like, all about stealing from stores to sell the stuff, take it back, get gift cards and get drugs for it. And then I was homeless, and I remember being homeless for so many years in this town, and it gets cold here, man. Like,
yeah.
The only time my mom would open the door it'd have to be -15, -20, -30. And when you live out there all the time at -10, it feels like it's -30 anyways the whole time. You know what I mean? So, like, the only time she ever opened the door was when it was really cold.
Yeah.
And I remember being right down the road from my house and then couldn't go home. When she did open the door and I stayed the night, when she was leaving at 6 in the morning to go to Anchorage to do something, I had to get up and leave. I couldn't be there. She wouldn't let me be there. And surprisingly, she let me in that night anyways, you know what I mean? So I was living off of cars and on the property and living in just dumps, man, horrible places. And during that time, I would come back to this place, come back to my house right here and get clothes. And so I still had that support. And that's when I really needed it. I needed it during high school, like to a point, and I didn't take advantage of it, like you're saying. And I love to give back and help during that time. But like when I really got out there and I was really homeless and really stuff, I would absolutely need it. Like I remember I got an infection in my leg one time, and it was really bad. I could barely walk. And they came in here. They took me to the doctors. They bought the antibiotics for me. And then Michelle, bless her heart, got me a hotel for a night so I can get off my leg.
Wow.
And it's hard not to cry thinking about this stuff, man. It's there's some real love here. And so like I've been thinking about for years, you know, like how I can help this place. And I remember helping set up and stuff. And when it was just a big warehouse, coming in and putting clothes together for people or whatever, not too much because I needed to get back out there and get high because I put getting high in front of everything and anything. But something in there, something in my heart had me helping a little bit. But yeah, it just, you know, it was sucked, man. So I got so sick of being cold here, right? That I was like, hey, Mom, I got to go to Washington. You know, I need to get to Washington. And before that, let me back up a little bit. Before that, it was a rough time in my life. Okay, so my brother died, and my girlfriend broke up with me right after the 6 years or 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it was, I think. And so I had no girlfriend that I absolutely loved. And then my big brother died, and then I had no home to go to. Because when he was alive, I always had a home to go to. You know, he made that clear, saying you can always come here, there's always got a spot for you. And so at that point, I had no girlfriend, no brother, and no home. You know, it broke my spirits, man.
Absolutely.
And you think all that stuff, like your brother dying, would get you off of drugs, but it just dove me deeper. Since I was already in that playing level of getting messed up, and it didn't help at all. It just dove me way deeper, and I was pretty numb, so I didn't even cry for like the first 2 days after my brother died, until I actually believed it and was like, wow, he's actually dead. This is crazy. And I was running around Anchorage, doing my thing. I wouldn't even come back to the Valley because I was so like trying to avoid and stay away, and it was just a rough time, man. I came in here a couple times when I did come back and cried in Michelle's office, and like she's just been there so much for me, and it's a big part of my story and a big part of my life, and this place, and it's a big part of my life, and I'm really, really stoked to be here doing this with you right now. This is cool.